everybody, my name is Kira and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing my wrap up for the One Readathon to Rule Them All, which was a fantasy readathon that was held for 2 weeks, and there were 8 challenges and I managed to complete 7 of them, as well as finishing 5.5 books. So I'm here to talk about all of them and how my experience went. So first off, I finished reading The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I had to read this for school, and so I was about halfway through when I started the readathon, so this only counts as like 0.5 of the book, but I mean it fits. So I finished it. It was pretty good. This was actually a reread for me, and it was fun. Like, I'm not as big of a fan of the books as I am of, well, like, okay, Lord of the Rings movies are amazing, the books are good, but like, it's just hard to get through. Even though The Hobbit is a kid's book and it's meant for kids, it's still like not the same kind of kid's book as we would think of today. And so, I don't know, it was fun, but it was just like I had to read it for a class, so, and it happened to fit in the readathon. Next up, I read Haven by Mary Lindsay. This is a romance book about a boy named Rain who gets sent to live with his aunt in a small town, but he finds out that not everything there is what it seems. There are actually werewolves involved. And this fulfilled the challenge of read a fantasy book that is a standalone. Now, I didn't really enjoy this book. I'm not a huge romance fan, and it just wasn't the book for me, honestly. But I got it in one of my Page Habit boxes, and so you can see there are author notations in here, and it was really cool to see Mary Lindsay's like little notes and things about it. And I'm glad that I read it, but I think I'm going to actually give it away at this point. So yeah, it was an okay book. It wasn't my favorite, honestly, but it was a romance book, and I read it. I don't really know what else to say about it. Next up, I read The Book Jumper by Mechthild Glasser. I'm really sorry if I mispronounced that. Okay, first of all, this cover is the prettiest thing ever, so I love it. And this fulfilled the challenge of read a fantasy book written by a non-English speaking author. This was originally written in German. Now, this was a really fun book to read. This is about a girl named Amy who finds out that her family actually has this power of being able to jump into books and interact with characters. And it was a really fun mystery. There's a thief that's going around and stealing different elements of the books and killing people as well, both character and real life people. And so it was a really good mystery. I mean, was it the best book ever written? No, but it was a really, really fun book. And I mean, it's every book lover's dream to go into your favorite book and talk to the characters. So it was really fun, and I really enjoyed reading this. And just the cover just gets me every time. It's just so pretty. And next up, I read Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. Again, sorry if I mispronounced that. And this fulfilled the challenges of read a fantasy book under 300 pages, even though it's like 315 pages, but we're just going to go with it. As well as read a fantasy book with LGBTQ plus rep, which there was a bisexual love triangle, which was really interesting to read. And read a fantasy book set in a non-European location. Though it was like set in New York City, in Brooklyn, it was more inspired by the Mexican and Latino communities. It's about a girl named Alex, and she comes from a magical family, and she has had this power, but she's tried to hide it. And on her death day, the day that she is supposed to like accept her power and make it like a bigger part of herself, she ends up trying to get rid of her power, but that plan backfires and her whole family is lost to this like underworld. So she teams up with her best friend and a guy she has just met who seems to know a little bit more than she does about this world, and they go and try and get her family back. This was really interesting to read. It was a little weird at first because she like sees her dead aunt, and her dead aunt's corpse like falls on her when her family's doing like some sort of ritual with it, and that was like really freaky, and she's like a little kid at that point, so it was a little weird there. But other than that, it was a really interesting read. It was really cool to see that Latino and Mexican inspired mythology, just because I don't know a lot about it. And there actually is a small glossary in the back of different terms and phrases and things that either the author made up or she took from other things. It was really fun to read, and I really enjoyed actually reading it. And I think there is a second book. I don't think I will be continuing on with it, but there is a second book because it did end on a bit of a cliffhanger, which was kind of interesting to hear about. And next, I reread one of my favorite books of all time, A Never in the Ashes by Saba Tahir. This fulfilled the challenges of read a fantasy book with a POC main character and read a fantasy book written by a POC author. Now, Never in the Ashes, if you don't know what it's about, you are missing out. This is one of my absolute favorite books of all time. So this is about a girl named Laia who becomes a slave in order to help the resistance that is building to find her brother who has been captured by the evil empire. And the other main character is named Elias, and he is a soldier, also known as a mask, in the empire's army, but he really doesn't want to be there. And he gets chosen to be in part of this game almost to become the next emperor. And so the two of them have to survive this really cruel world that's kind of more Roman inspired. And it is just so good. The romance is amazing. The characters are all so unique and fleshed out. And it's so dark and it's just so well written, and I love this book so much. And I reread it in anticipation for the third book, A Reaper at the Gates, which comes out June 12th, I believe. Because I'm so excited for that book, because book 2 ends on a big cliffhanger because you're like, I don't know what is going on. And yeah, it was just so fun reading. I reread this in like 2 days because it was just so good and I couldn't stop reading it. And lastly, I read The Last Namsara by Kristen Ciccarelli, I don't know how to pronounce that one either. I am terribly sorry. So this one is about a girl named Asha, and she is a fierce dragon slayer. She tells stories in order to entice dragons to come to her so she can kill them, but she finds out that her life is not exactly what she thought it was, and it's just really interesting. I don't really know what else to say about this without giving anything away. Oops. Sorry, my heater turned on by itself, because it's on automatically. So it's hard to say anything without giving this story away, but she falls in love with a slave, which is kind of forbidden, and even though she's betrothed to somebody who's kind of an abusive person, so I don't know if I should give a trigger warning for an abusive relationship, but because I don't really know much about that, honestly. But it was really interesting to read. It wasn't my favorite book of all time either, but again, the cover is really, really stunning. It's really pretty, and I love it. It was fun. I'm glad I read it, and I can check that off of my TBR list as well. So the only challenge that I did not complete is read a fantasy book over 1,000 pages, and that is mostly because I did not have a fantasy book over 1,000 pages with me while I was at college, which is where I did most of the readathon. If you want to see my vlogs, I will leave both of them linked down below. And I read a total of 2,069 pages, which is a crap ton, and it's definitely more than I've read in a long time, besides reading for school, of course. So the readathon was so much fun. I enjoyed getting to vlog it. It was just a really fun time. I love fantasy books so much, and they're a large part of my TBR, honestly, so I'm really glad that I was able to read this. Thank you so much to all the hosts for creating this. I love doing the sprints. The sprints are one of my favorite things because it makes me want to read, because you can interact with people who are also reading at the same time. So I'm really glad that I was able to do this, and that is my wrap up. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, all my links are in the description. And thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!